welcome back to the Lumiose Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we're going to be talking about the potential of Unova remakes in 2024. Now look, I've stated a couple times on this channel, I firmly believe that whatever comes in 2024 will be Johto related, just because it has been the longest amount of time since we've been to a Johto region, a game with Johto in it, than any other Pokemon region. We've visited Unova more recently than we have visited Johto. So for that reason, I do think Johto's next. However, Pokemon likes to surprise us. Pokemon likes to, when we're thinking one thing, give us a completely different thing. You know, a lot of people were expecting Gen 4 remakes back during the Sun and Moon era, but they surprised us with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Also, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee itself was a surprising game with new mechanics. Legends Arceus, same thing, a surprising game, different mechanics, not something we would have called. So, you know, giving us a Unova remake or a Unova-related game would be following this trend and kind of keeping us on our toes, because most of us are thinking Johto, I believe. But I guess that's a good question of the day. What do you think's coming next, Johto or Unova? Let me know in the comments. But on that note, that's exactly why I think that Unova would be amazing to visit, whether it's this gen or next, is because Pokemon has the chance to do something completely wild with these Unova remakes. If you look at the Unova games, they are completely different. Unova itself was the break in the formula. It changed everything. You know, first off, it was the first region to have its own dex that did not include any Pokemon from past games. You know, previously, yeah, Sinnoh gave us new Pokemon, but we still could find some regular Pokemon that we already knew, like Ponyta or Pikachu, in the Sinnoh region. Unova wasn't this way. Unova had a brand new batch of over 150 Pokemon, and it was just those in the region until you got to the post-game, or if you played Black 2 and White 2. Another way Unova broke the formula is this was the first region not based off of Japan. Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, all were based off of real-world regions in Japan. But Unova changed that. They went all the way to the United States and based it off of New York City, with some areas just around the New York area, but the shape of the map is based off New York City. So it always was a break in the formula, but the biggest way it broke the formula was in its sequels. So previously we had gotten Red and Blue, and then Pokemon Yellow, which is really just Red and Blue with a few differences. Gold and Silver, then Crystal, which is really just Gold and Silver with a few differences. Ruby and Sapphire with Emerald, again, Ruby and Sapphire with the same differences, and Platinum was the same way. It was just Diamond and Pearl with the same difference, with a few differences. But that wasn't the case for Unova. With Unova, we expected Pokemon Gray, which would just be a black and white game focused around Kyurem. It wasn't. It was Black 2 and White 2, which wasn't a different take on Unova. It was a continuation of the story in Unova from Black and White. So, direct sequels. This had never happened before, and frankly, it hasn't happened since. You know, you could kind of say Legends Arceus is, but it definitely isn't in the same way that Black 2 and White 2 was. Black 2 and White 2 was much more direct, in your face, hey, we are a sequel to that game you just played. And so, the question remains, well, if they did a remake for Unova, what would they include? You know, would they be remaking Black and White? Would they be remaking Black 2 and White 2? If they remake Black and White, would they add areas from Black 2 and White 2? Or would it be kind of like Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, where there's no Platinum representation and there'd be no Black 2, White 2 representation? Well, what I'd argue is do neither. Why not just do Black 3 and White 3? Or you could even do Pokemon Gray and have, like, it be just a direct sequel to Black 2 or White 2. Like, you can kind of choose some options to better base which one it's off of, because obviously you would have to, because the hero has a certain Pokemon and has a certain Pokemon, or the guy from Black 2 and White 2, that hero has a certain Pokemon. So, you know, there would be some reworking there. I think Black 3 and White 3 is a better way to go, but Pokemon Gray could work too. This would be an insane thing to do because, again, we're all expecting Black and White remakes. We're expecting, you know, Pitch Black and Blinding White or whatever it may be. And instead, they'd be like, no, Black 3, White 3. The sequel to a game we released like 15 years ago, you know? That would be insane. Now, as for the story, perhaps we could finally get some true closure with the hero from Black and White. In Black 2 and White 2, that hero is missing. He went looking for N and just disappeared. So now, in Black 3 and White 3, we could be looking for this hero. It stated in Black 2 and White 2 that, like, N's looking for him. You know, the kid's mom's still holding out hope for him, but you never find him. You know, it would have made sense to do some kind of Red-style reveal at the top of Mount Silver where you end up running into the hero character and you get to battle him, but that never happened. So what I would propose is this game would revolve around some kind of conflict in Unova, some kind of perhaps even nature force that, like, but not the forces of nature, where you are having to unite the dragon. So you have to look for the hero from the original Black and White games so that you can get his dragon to unite it, and then of course you would be able to get this new legendary that would be the original dragon, you know, Reshiram and Zekrom united, and it would also just be a really cool plot, very different, and it would make the character from Black and White really stand out in the same way Red did, you know, in that you get to actually meet this character instead of just hearing about him, and maybe even battle him. You know, they had this whole thing in Black 2 and White 2 where you could connect to your Black and White game, and by doing this, you would be able to, like, get some kind of events triggered in your game. So I think it would be really cool if maybe if you connected it to Black and White, you'd get to battle the trainer from Black and White with the team that you beat the Elite Four with in Black and White, whatever save file you connected it to. But I admit that'd be a lot of hoops to jump through because, you know, one's on a DS console, the other one's on, you know, the Switch, or potentially even whatever comes after the Switch. So that would be a lot of things you'd have to jump through, and it may not even be worth it for Game Freak because you figure at this point Black and White is nearing 15 years old, so it'd be kind of hard to, you know, find people that actually still have this game. I have 2 Pokemon White versions, and both of them have the blue screen of death, so I wouldn't be able to do this, but it'd be kind of neat. And if you can't connect it, they just have a generic team that's been built in. But regardless, I think that the story could still work. It would be absolutely amazing. Since this would be a sequel, this could take place, you know, 10, 20, they could do it 100 years. Well, you know, you probably wouldn't want to do 100 years because then N and this hero character are dead. But maybe 10 or 20 years after the events of Black 2 and White 2. And what's really cool about that is that opens the door for Pokemon to give us another thing we all loved about Legends Arceus, and that is new regional variants and new Pokemon. So the big thing with Black 2 and White 2, or one of the big things rather, was that now there were Pokemon not from the Unova region that now live in the Unova region. You could find Wild Riolu, you could find Wild Mareep, Eevee, Grimer, etc., in the Unova region now. So if in 2 years you can find, I think it's 2 years, maybe it's 5, I'm completely blanking on that, but just in a few years you can find old Pokemon in the Unova region, well, it'd be easy to believe that in 10 or 20 years they've got their own regional variants and their own cross-gen evolutions, maybe even their own new Pokemon, but I'm not so positive on that one. But yeah, I think that would be incredible and get people to come to the game. Maybe even now, Unova hands out different starters. You know, back when you played Pokemon Black and White, you picked between Snivy, Oshawott, and Tepig. But now, Snivy, Oshawott, and Tepig are just found in the wild, so they actually give you new starters. Perhaps, probably not brand new starters we've never seen before, but like a mix, kind of like Legends. So, off the top of my head, maybe now you can pick between Bulbasaur, Froakie, and Torchic, and travel with those. And maybe they would have a Unovan evolution, or Unovan variant of Blaziken, Greninja, and Venusaur. That would be really neat. I'm not so much banking on that because that would just be like kind of copy-pasted from Legends Arceus, but I do think that is very possible. Lastly, by doing this with the Unova region, you could give life to a lot of the areas in Unova that frankly needed more life. I think about I think it was called Anvil Town, that little town that was just the train station. You could give a little more there, give a little more to the subway in general. You could with the black ship that was just in the Castelia City Harbor, but like there was nothing to it. That would be fun to finally revisit that. you know, it'd be a great way to give just more story to the parts of Unova that are left a mystery. Obviously, the biggest one being the original dragon. We all want that back. Like, we all want to see what that looked like. I know. So that'd be the big thing, and that'd be enough to get us on board. But it would be nice if they could give these other mysteries kind of some closure as well. But yeah, be sure to let me know in the comments below what you think of this. Also, of course, Johto or Unova, which do you think is next? I'm banking on Johto, but hey, maybe they'll surprise us. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss all our future videos. And until next time, I'll see all of you later.